Clark. Welcome to another video on board governance. The duty of care is one of the fiduciary duties every board has and every board member and executives have. And part of that is knowledge. Are you aware of the organization, its performance, and its status? And are you acting on it in a timely manner? Well, what I'm going to cover today is the board's information system. Data is formatted into information so that you can read it and listen to it and understand it and gain knowledge about the organization. Well, how much do you need? In general terms, I would say every board packet I look at for any kind of an organization is too heavy. It's got too much stuff in it. And what's wrong with that? Well, not any volunteer I know reads all of it. And so if anything is important in what you don't read, that can be a problem. So let's stop and take a look at what you're getting and see if we can cut out stuff so that we can benefit from that. So what I propose to do is for the board to evaluate its own information system and decide what it wants. Now, don't do this in a vacuum. Most volunteer board members, even paid ones, cannot focus enough, maybe don't know enough about what they should get, so get some advice. And do this whether you cut anything out or not. Maybe you confirm you're getting everything that's just right. But let's confirm that. Use your executive, use your corporate attorney, use your CPA firm, use the accountants. Here's a caveat. Here's a warning. Asking all of those what you should get, you've got to think critically and argue with them about it. In fact, take the position that some large percent of what they're going to suggest that you have is probably not necessary. Why would that be? These are professionals whose reputations and careers depend upon your not being able to tell the world or a court that they recommended this and I didn't know I needed something else. So they're going to err on overabundance. And that's why many board packets of information for monthly knowledge ends up gaining weight. The way to stop that is if anything new shows up, you ask, what is the reason it's in there? Sometimes board members will ask for something, the board gets it one time, and it never stops. And nobody criticizes it or questions it. And so a year later, 2 years, 3 years later, we look at it and say, why are we getting this? What's the strategic value of this? How does it help me with the mission and vision? And if it doesn't, stop it. All right, now let's talk about taking control. A board should take control of its information system using those professionals to give you advice, and then you decide what you want. You could do a workshop. Bring all of those people together at one time and take a typical month's board information and go through it page by page. Hey, order a pizza. I would go to that meeting. Page by page, report by report. What is the value of this? Rank them. You might even ask your board members, and I do this on occasion, what's the first thing you look at when you get this packet or any packet of information? What's the first thing you look for? Tick that off. If 2 or more people look at that first, that's probably important. Not necessarily. They just may like it, but it may not have as much relevance or importance for board work as it ought to. You will gain time. If you will focus on what is important, you will save yourself a lot of time. This isn't all about time, but time is all you've got. And as a volunteer board member, you're giving your time. It should be focused. Why not? You don't have to accept anything management wants to send you unless it relates to what is important to a board's work. And let's face it, If you get too much information from management, your perspective becomes more managerial instead of strategic, more management instead of leadership, and not having separate and different perspectives between the board at the 30,000-foot level and management at the operational level, then you're losing value by not having two separate perspectives working together for the benefit of the company. One of the things about saving time, if you get 4 hours of work in, that should be plenty for you to study the information, be prepared for a board meeting, and understand what your company, your organization is doing. One of the disadvantages of a project like this is change. Some people do not like change, but if you do not change, if you adapt to the status quo and do not weigh in on the value of everything you're getting, as a board member, you may be negligent. It could be that you will have time to read something much more important if you get rid of something to read that's not as important. I don't want to see anybody I've talked to or taught or consulted with on a witness stand telling the prosecuting attorney that, yes, this is a typical board packet, but it's too big and I don't read all of it. And then to have it reported to me that the forensics auditors determined that the information that foretold the failure of this organization that you are elected to protect was broadcast in this information that you never read. And since you got it and never read it, I call you negligent, and I want you to open your wallet to join with the insurance company to protect the people who lost because of this failure on your part. You can avoid that. Get rid of the unnecessary and get the necessary. That's a diligent, caring decision. Now, we have to unsubscribe sometimes, and if you don't get more information, it's okay. As long as you go through a diligent process, because that demonstrates the duty of care. Visit my website, www.danclark.com. Under Services, you'll find Governance Services, and under that you will find the Board Packet Weight Loss Program. If you need my help, I'm ready to help you.